Hello, I'm Colin Bradley. Now I'm going to produce a watercolour sky using this reference photograph. Photograph, incidentally, I took myself. I was looking at the sky one day and I thought, what a beautiful cloud formation. So I took it, edited it out, and I thought that'd be a perfect example for you. So I'm going to reproduce that on here. And what am I using? Well, I'm using Pastelmat paper. Watercolour paper will be just as good, good quality watercolour paper, but I'm trying, this is a light grey Pastelmat. You can tell if I put it on a white there, you can see the colour. And it's rather nice. I use it a lot for pastel pencils. Now I'm going to also use some pastel pencils on here as well. So we're going to show you how to create a really nice looking sky using watercolour and pastel pencils. The first thing I'm going to do is going to turn this picture upside down. There we are, upside down. Now, why is that, Colin? Well, I've found that when you do your sky, if you were to do it, let's say we're doing it here, like that, and you use quite a lot of water, and you get runs coming down. Now, if you've got detail, which invariably you have, then that will affect the colours going on to this area. So you've really got to get that as pristine as you can. So I always turn it upside down. I didn't necessarily have to do it with this one, but I'm going to follow my own rules. Now what I'm going to do is mix the colour up. Start with plenty of colour, even though it's not very big here. I'm going to make sure I've got enough. You don't want to run out halfway through. That is fatal. That's the blue. And then we're going to put some white in. Is it important to have the white and the blue? Well, it is really, because it gives you a lovely smooth finish, as you will see as we go on. Well, now that's a nice colour. That looks very much like that, doesn't it? And I make sure I've got plenty of water on here because I might dip into that again. And the other colour I'm going to use is over here. And this is a very dark blue. Again, make sure we've got plenty of it. Let's put it on here for the moment. I don't want to mix it with that particularly at this moment of time. There's a lot of mixing involved in this, folks. And again, I want plenty of it. And again, I want to make sure I can come back in that as well, so I wet it. When you've got lights like I have, it tends to dry the pastel, the watercolour. Okay, so there we are. That's set up. Now, to start with, we're going to use the blue, and I'm going to dip into here because I really want to make it quite strong. One of the things you will find with watercolour is it dries lighter. So I've got to make that a little darker than it looks there. So start off the top, come in like that. Now you see what I mean by using, and of course the water, this is the Pastelmat tends to absorb it. That's good quality watercolour would too. Now let's see, I've got a really nice colour, but I do know that that is going to dry lighter than I've got it there. And one of the other things that I do is, you can't see it particularly here, but you find that the top part of the sky, or in this case, the bottom part, as we're doing it upside down, is much stronger. So I'm going to make sure that I've got plenty of strength there. Now you'll be amazed at how that actually lightens off as we go on. Let's just dip a bit more. Now this is not so bad because I've got a fairly small area, but if you've got a large area of sky to do, there we are. Now that's I'm just a little tempted to put just a little more blue on here, just to make sure that we've got it really nice. That looks really good to me. Now, you always find that the bottom, or in this case the top, is always a little bit lighter. So what you do here, get your tissue and just take a little bit of it off at the base there. Not a lot. This is plain water now I'm using. like that. So we make it lighter. Now I then turn it back the right way. Hold a bit. Oh, another little tip: if don't touch the sky here, but just run everything along. So stop any drips coming down. Won't matter here, but it would matter if it was your own picture. Now that looks dark, doesn't it? But it ain't going to stay that way. Before it dries out, what we do is we dab it off with, now this time you can't have it too wet, otherwise it will run. So what we do now is we've got to reproduce this cloud here. Now dab it out with your brush. And I'm gonna go right up to the corner there because I'm going to follow this as best I can. Now you see how that's coming along? Come down. You've got to work fairly swiftly here, I've got to say, because if you don't, you will tend to find that it will dry out and you wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. Now get right down to about there. I don't really mind if there's traces of that blue traced left, because that already you can see a cloud forming. Now, let's say I'm going to try to follow this as best I can. Now, it's quite a long process here, and you'll find that it's fascinating as I move on exactly what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to come just a little higher than it is there, makes a bit more of a cloud. And again, you don't want to make a cloud exactly the same, my goodness. You see what I'm using the tissue, just taking it off a little bit at a time. The key of this is to try to get that as bright as you can by doing what I'm doing now. I'm developing a really nice looking sky. You can't go back once you've done it. Leave it. Whatever it is, that's how it is going to be. Now I'm going to have that run off. I'm going to run that off the picture as it is done there. And let's put a few over here. I'm going to change this slightly, make a bit more of it. There you go. Like that. I think that is about all I want to do there. Now, what else do we do? Well, the little tricks we get up to now. It's a tissue, a clean one. I've got plenty of tissue here. Make sure that I've got it right. And what we do is we dab out just in the very strong areas. I'm looking at that, and let's make that just a little bit further over. Like that. That's better. Gives me a little bit more to work with. Dab it out. A little bit more water on there. And dab it out. Now, why am I twisting this round? Well, I found if you don't do that, you can put the blue back in again. And we don't want to do that, but you get some, you never know quite what you're going to get. See how? A little bit more. Let's take a little bit more over there. Make it just a bit more. There we are. Looking good so far. Now, what I'm going to do now, folks, is leave you. And I'm going to let that dry off. And then I'll come back and we'll show you stage 2. I do want that to come off of the picture though, so let's come down just a bit more. Now, I've got to the point where if I carry on, I'm going to spoil. So I'm not going to carry on, I'm going to leave it. And I'll see you in a minute or two. Now, that's all dried off now, so now we're going to use some more water. Clean water this time. And we're going to make that just a little stronger. And the other thing we can do is I've started here, so let me carry on. down to the edges. You can take some of the blue off, like that, and then you dab it. I won't do it all, I'll do a couple and then I'll advance it. Now we've still got some other tricks up our sleeve. As I say, some of that blue that I've got in there can be used, and I'll enhance that with some grey in a minute, and you'll see how that looks. I come down here. I'm not going to get rid of this particularly, just a light dab off, because I just want to create that bluey look that we've got there. It's a lot of fun, as you can probably imagine, folks, how interesting this is. Make sure that we've got it. That's it. That's looking good. Not the same. You never get it the same, but you don't want to. You want to make it your own. Let's see if we can do that little wispy bit there. As I said, if you wanted to, you could also use watercolor paper. That would work. This is looking good now. And here. I know what's coming, folks. This is excellent, the way that's, I'm not going to touch that. That's just the way it fell on the water. And let's make that a little stronger there. You've got to keep dabbing it because you've got to dry it off as you do it, because we're going to be putting pastel pencil in a minute. I think we'll leave that little gap there. I like that. And, well, I might as well carry on. It's not going to take me very long to finish this. You're probably intrigued. I won't be able to get that in now, that little bit of blue, so we'll have to sacrifice that. This is coming along really well, but I think we'll make just a bit more of this. I think I'm going to leave it. I did want to go right to the edge, didn't I? So let's take that as though it disappears off the edge of the paper. Good. Keep twisting you don't want to put more more colour back in again, and you would do if you kept dabbing it and not. That looks good, doesn't it? As it's come up very well. And again, just making that just a little stronger. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm following what I can see, not in there, but in the bit I've done, and enhance that. I think I might probably leave that alone now, because I want to show you how we can get them wispy bits in there. There we are. That's it. Now look, I think you'll agree. You could leave it like that. It looks good, doesn't it? But what we can do now is put some pastel in. Now, the white pastel can come in on top. Let me get my colour shaper ready. I've got two colour shapers here, and I'll explain those to you in a minute. I'll put them there. That's what I'm going to be doing with them. Some of this I want to leave alone because, as I said, it would be the blue. I'll do this one complete using the different colours. Now, this is where we can get these wispy bits coming off the edge like that. If you want them, I would. I think they look attractive like that. Now, this is where we can use a colour shaper. We can use a finger, but it's not going to work very well. Best to have something like this. If you haven't got this, you could use a cotton bud. Now what this does is pushes it into the paper instead of it being on the surface. See, look, I mean, I'd leave that alone. There's no need. That looks good. So let's come down here. And again, don't get rid of all of the colour, because that gives you that variation. It looks good, doesn't it? Let's come down here, and I can show you. This is what I'm interested in. Let's get to this bit. Now, I've made mine different, so I've got to change this slightly. Like that. I'm using the pointed colour shape, but I've also got the flat if I do need to use it. I'll show you how I use that in a minute. This is really for getting the detail in. You can see how that's working. And we've still got the grey to come. We've still got the ivory to come, if you want to use ivory. I think we'll come right to the edge of that as well. So that disappears off the... I hope you find this interesting. I'm fascinated, but I always have been. And this is where I can also use the other colour shaper. This is pointed, but this one is flat. And that gives you just a little more. You probably can't see the difference there, but I can. Like that. And I think I'm probably going to leave it alone because that looks good. Now I'm going to carry on with the rest of this. And then I'll come back and we'll be putting the grey and the ivory on before finally doing what's not on here, a little bit of the dark cloud. I've almost finished this now. I just thought I'd show you this last little bit. And then we can move on. But once again, it's not the same as that. So when we can actually put this onto the blue, look, and give you, again, that's another little, I told you a few little tricks we can get up to. A few little wispy bits, which really does make quite a difference. And there we go. And here I'm going to use my flat rather than the pointed one. And that pushes it into the paper, giving you that wispy, cloudy look. Bet you have a go at this yourself, won't you? The thing about doing something like this is there's no real pressure on you. Now, that's fine. So we can put the white away for the moment. I'm going to use the ivory next because it's not on this picture. But I do like a little bit of colour. So by putting just a little bit of ivory in, don't have to do this. You could, I'm going to, but it's not essential. It does make a painting just that little bit more colourful. And that's all you need. Colour shaper. Really, all the hard work has been done now with the watercolour and the pastel pencil. That looks good. Very pleased with it. Now, this is the grey. Now, this grey is a subtle grey. You see this colour here? Well, it will bring it in that you could put blue on, but I wouldn't put the blue. I'd use the grey. This is a bluey grey. In 230, if you're making any notes of it, 230, which is a bluey grey as opposed to an earth grey. You can see that, look at how this is coming along. It's better than that, isn't it? How can you improve on the sky, folks? Well, you can. And now the final colour, really, I'm going to use is this one. Now, this is risky. You might say, leave it like Colin, don't touch it. But if you put this on, blimey, you've spoiled it, haven't you? No, you wait and see what happens in a minute. Don't put pressure on it. See how that now looks deeper. Now, if you didn't particularly like it, you can always come back in with the grey or the white and tart it up a bit, like that. But I do like that little bit of grey in there. You'll always find it in my skies. Just makes it just that little bit more interesting. Tiny bit more, and then I think I'm just going to leave it alone. Sometimes you don't want to overdo it. But if this was just watercolour, you wouldn't be able to do this. I think I'm going to call it a day. There we are. Just move it off. I'll come closer so you get a better view of it. Well, there we are, folks. Finished sky and watercolour and pastel pencil. I hope you've enjoyed this. There's lots and lots more exercises that I'm going to be showing you and on our website. So I look forward to seeing you there. Bye for now.